Hello. Welcome to Are You Addicted to Big Wins? Curbing the Thrill Seeker Mentality in Trading. So let's start by talking about why some people get too focused on big wins in trading and how that thrill seeking mentality can sabotage your success. It's a common trap to fall into, wanting to catch the perfect entry and exit, expecting each trade to be flawless. But of course, you don't actually have to do everything perfectly to make money. I will say that if you really are addicted to the thrill of gambling, there's only so much that can be done because gambling addiction is rooted in the pleasure seeking part of the brain. It can be so powerful that it really just gets hardwired. It's disappointing that psychology hasn't really cracked the code for fixing addiction. And that's true for other addictive behaviors too, like dieting or other habits that feel out of control. So if you're here in the trading game for the thrill of gambling, I wish you luck. I hope I can help you. If you're somebody who's just fallen into the habit of becoming too focused on big wins, then I think I can help you. Besides, the best traders aren't in it for thrills. They're the disciplined ones. They're in it to make money. And sometimes making money in trading isn't super exciting. Do you need a trading plan? Yes, of course. Are you tired of hearing that? Well, sorry, but here's another reason why you need one. Because without a guiding plan or goal, your decisions will be driven by your emotions and whims. So ask yourself, what are your goals? How do you actually want to feel while trading? Do you want it to be like a Hollywood movie where you struggle and then have one giant win and then the story ends right there on the high note? Because, real trading isn't like that. I want you to enjoy trading, but I also want you to be among the top 5%. I want you to make money, and that requires something different than just aiming to feel great all the time. I'm not asking you to be happy with each trade. I'm asking you to aim for contentment, a steady state where you're not riding highs and lows. Let's start with a warm up set. So just get close enough to the screen that your eyes can track the full movement from side to side and get comfortable following the ball across the screen. All right. So now I'd like for you to think about this for a moment. Why do you trade? What are you really trying to feel? Get in touch with these reasons and let yourself connect with what you want out of this experience. Just see what bubbles up from your unconscious. All right, I wish I was there to hear what you had to say, but depending on what you did, you might have to adjust your target feelings as we progress in this session, especially if you've been aiming to feel great from trading, because that's just not how consistent profits are made. What do you think I mean by that? All right, take a deep breath. Let's take a moment to think about happiness. So, you know how you hear those like surveys of like the happiest countries in the world. And of course, the United States never in there. And then, of course, that makes me unhappy. But what they really are talking about is contentment. What are the most content countries in the world? And there's a huge difference there. Like, happiness is just short lived and it's fleeting. And if you talk to people in those countries that are the most happy, which are they're always freaking Scandinavian countries like Denmark or Sweden or wherever the sun doesn't shine for a long time, like those people don't even try for happiness. They're like, well, why should I? I mean, I just want to have like a good, nice, peaceful life. Like, why do I have to have thrills? Like they don't even try for it. But I want you to think about that. Like, what are you really going for? Are you trying to like get thrills from this pastime or this vocation that you have, or are you trying to go for, long-term sustainability and like if we go up and down too much, that just takes too much energy. It can be exhausting, and then we're not able to really do our job. So I guess you kind of can see where I'm leaning towards, but I want you to just look at yourself. What are you looking for there? Another question to ask yourself is, do you trade as a way to escape? Like, is your life really not that happy? And then you have this to turn to. And if that is what you're doing, that's your business. But I hope that your life is good enough that you don't feel the need to have to get away from it. If it is, ask yourself, do you need huge wins in order to accomplish that, to distract you enough? Or can you get a sense of like satisfaction and be in that flow state just by being focused and engaged in each trade? What's the answer there? Okay, I hope it doesn't seem like I'm jumping around too much. All this stuff is going to come together. And of course, I'm sort of operating in a way that's going to engage your subconscious. So consciously, you might not be completely aware of what I'm getting at. But for this next set, I'd like for you to just think back to the first time you had a winning trade. Maybe it was like a little one or maybe the first big one that you can remember, and just remember what that felt like without judgment. What did that feel like? Okay, take a deep breath. When I first became an entrepreneur, I was so up and down emotionally. I mean, I just couldn't keep doing that. Like if something went well, I'd be so excited. I'd go home and tell my wife, like, this is it, honey. Like, our whole lives are going to change now. And then it wouldn't pan out. And then I'd be so pissed. I'd be like, fuck this. And then I wouldn't even be able to think about this new business I was starting for like a week. How much have you ever been like that? Like, review your past and how much of a roller coaster did you ever really get on? Of course, you're a human and you have emotions, and what keeps you motivated is that positive reinforcement. But it does take a lot of energy, doesn't it? If you're going up and down too much, try to think about the energy that actually comes out of you as you're living this up and down reality. Don't you need that energy? All right. You know, in my opinion, getting too excited about winning actually is risky because it's just the other side of the same coin of being despondent over a loss. You want to minimize the emotional intensity of both wins and losses. And like I always say, emotion is what makes your logical brain go offline. So if you're too activated, and that can definitely be not just from anxiety and frustration and fear and anger, but also from being thrilled, that's going to make you less of a logical decision maker. So just try to think about that. Do you agree with that? All right, take a deep breath. So, as I was saying, I mean, we definitely need that positive reinforcement to keep us going. And you need to keep your eye on the prize. But you do also need to hold in your mind that it's going to take work and patience and sacrifice to get to where you want to be. When you look at successful people, they definitely do keep their eye on the prize, but they're able to contrast the two sides at the same time. It's called cognitive dissonance when you're trying to hold on to two different notions at the same time, and most of us just automatically shy away from that. But I'd like for you to picture that right now and just feel what that's like to hold both at the same time. All right, very good. You know, I think one reason that big wins are so attractive is because they let us see the progress. If you're going slow and steady, you can't see the progress, and that sucks. If you take a slow and steady approach, it's like, well, think about taking care of your lawn. You can do everything right, but you can't actually see the grass grow. So imagine having the faith that your portfolio will grow even if the progress isn't obvious right away. Okay, I'd like for you to imagine yourself as a gardener. You're putting in the work, the fertilizing, the planting, setting up the right conditions for success. but you know you can't control everything. And of course, it'd be foolish to just expect a beautiful crop to come up the next day or even instantly, because isn't that really kind of what we're doing sometimes? Weather or insects or unexpected factors can all happen along the way. So it's so wild with trading that you have to just do what you can and then be okay with that. And what you really have to be rewarding yourself for is not the results, but your actions, what you do. So, I mean, of course, the results are why you're doing anything, but I want you to try to shift away from being so results focused and really much more focused on what you're doing and your process, because, of course, indirectly, you'll accomplish what you need to as a byproduct of doing the right things. All right, take a deep breath, please. Is that like a letdown for you that I'm kind of discouraging you against big wins? I mean, well, you did take this course, because maybe you have a problem with trying to go for big wins a little too much. But we are really talking again about contentment versus happiness. And it really is kind of a paradox because like you're doing everything that you are so that you'll make money and get results. It's just that it's not always going to be perfect and it's not always going to be great. And if you're getting too invested in huge leaps, then you're going to fall down at times. And that's going to be exhausting for you. And it's going to take away all of your energy. So I guess what I'm really trying to get you to do is to hone in on contentment. What does it feel like to be content and being content with not being so happy, if that makes sense? Like, you're not going for happiness, you know what I mean? Alright, I hope I'm really, like, stirring up some stuff here, and I always leave everything as open-ended as I can because I want you to take this where you need to go. Like my favorite thing about this whole method of like the eye movements and having people to access their subconscious brain is what they come up with. Sometimes they come up with such beautiful, elegant metaphors that I never could have thought of that are just perfect for them. So I'm trying to create the conditions for you to create the conditions for your mind to do what it needs to do. Okay, so imagine a bridge. You're standing on one side and you're caught in the thrill of wanting big wins and the excitement of fast progress. But on the other side of the bridge is a calm, steady mindset. It's a place where your focus is on effort, on discipline, on long term growth. Picture yourself taking slow, deliberate steps across this bridge. And with each step, imagine yourself releasing the urge for quick wins and embracing the power of consistency, patience, and trust in your process. All right. I hope you made it across. Of course, you can always do this session again if you need to. And as we close, I'd like for you to please imagine how much money you're going to save or earn by committing to this way of thinking and by following this program. So picture your account balance in the future steadily growing, although so steadily that you don't see it like at minute by minute, but as you make thoughtful, like careful decisions, imagine the confidence and the peace of mind you'll have from knowing that you're avoiding impulsive trades and you're building towards consistent profits. Let yourself really feel the value of staying focused on this path. All right, good job. I'm really happy that you made it to the end here, and I hoping that you're getting a lot out of it, even whether you agree with me or not. I would love to hear how it formulates for you in your mind as you go through this process. All right, take care and happy trading. Nope, content trading.